Hi my crafty creatures, thank you for tuning into this video. In this video, I wanted to help beginning sewers get to know their sewing machine and get started sewing. And for this video specifically, I wanted to introduce you to your sewing machine. And I'm going to show on my personal sewing machine, but I will give tips and tricks for sewing machines that are out there. There are some differences, but majority of them are the same, and I just wanted to show you kind of how to get started with your sewing machine. So in this series, I'll do a bunch of different videos getting you started with your sewing machine, threading it, and eventually we'll get to different types of projects you can do with some of the basic things you learn, and then we can move on to some of the other videos that I'll make in the future. So if you guys want to see how to get started with your sewing machine and how to understand your sewing machine better, please stay tuned to the video. So I wanted to start off by showing the pedal, and the pedal is going to determine how fast or slow your needle is going to be moving up and down. With this, you want to be very careful with it. You want to kind of treat it like you're driving a car. You don't want to press down onto the pedal too hard, because if you do, the needle's going to go really fast, and it's really easy to lose control of the fabric if you do that, especially when you're a new sewer. So this is the pedal, and we're going to move on to the power and power cable. So here's the power cable and the power on off. So here is where you want to turn it on and off, and that's pretty simple. It's really just a switch. And this is the power cable. Now, some sewing machines will have the power cable and the presser foot attached together. And on this sewing machine, I just happen to have two separate ones. And for this one, the pedal is going to be attached almost like you would attach a headphone jack to your phone. So that one just goes in on the back side of the sewing machine, and you'll see it right here, and you'll just click it into place, and that'll allow you to change the speed and use the presser foot. And here you just have the power cable that supplies the power for you, so that's pretty straightforward. So on to the next thing. Okay, so the next part of the sewing machine is going to be the hand wheel. Now this will move your sewing machine needle up and down. And you'll use this mainly if your needle gets stuck, or at least that's the way I tend to use it. Some sewing machines don't have this button over here that will automatically bring your needle up and or down. So if you don't have that feature, you would use the hand wheel to achieve that. So sometimes when you're sewing, the thread will get stuck underneath the plate, and you'll use this to bring the needle back up. Sometimes you might have to use a little force, but this will be how you use that for the most part. Depending on what sewing machine you have, you may use that more than other sewing machines that you might own. So the next part of the sewing machine is where you're going to be putting your thread. This piece back here is where you put your spools of thread, and this piece right here slides on and off, and that just holds the spool of thread into place. That way it doesn't fall off while you're sewing. Here is where you wind your bobbin, and this is called the bobbin pin, and then this is the bobbin stopper. It's tightened by a screw, and you can loosen up the screw if you want to change this, but you can also move it just by pushing it with your thumb and forefinger. So this will determine how much thread you add onto the bobbin, and then this is where you place the bobbin so it can be wound. So right here you have your bobbin winder tension disc, and this will hold the tension onto your thread while it winds onto the bobbin. So here we have the thread guide and the take up lever. This will be where you put your thread, and it'll go down to the needle. This will keep the tension on your thread while you're sewing. Okay, so the next thing we have is our presser foot, lever, and feed dogs. This will be your presser foot, and this can go up and down by using the lever. Now when you're sewing, you want to always have the lever down. This allows the feed dogs and the presser foot to feed the fabric through the sewing machine. My sewing machine gives me a sound whenever I try to sew without the presser foot being down, So you want to make sure that you have the presser foot down, and then you can press on the pedal and your feed dogs will start to feed the fabric through your sewing machine. One of the last things you'll need to know about working your sewing machines is the bobbins. Now the bobbins come in either a metal or a plastic version. The plastic version is going to be for your everyday sewing machine, and the metal ones are usually used for your industrial sewing machines. It just so happens that my sewing machine is okay with using the metal ones, but they are typically used for the industrial sewing machines. And depending on what sewing machine you have, you'll need to get the proper size bobbin for your sewing machine. For my sewing machine, I have what you call a drop-in bobbin, and this means that it loads on the top of the sewing machine and you just drop the bobbin in and you'll place the plate on top of it. Now, depending on what sewing machine you have, it will either be a top load or it'll be a front load. And with the front load, you'll have a section somewhere around here that you'll be able to slide off and put the sewing thread into a section right here. And for that, I'll try to show a picture of what it may look like in case you have that sewing machine. This will be where you find your accessories at. And this will have an extra needle for you. And sometimes they will have a twin needle for you. And it'll come, most of everything will come into this pouch here. You'll usually have a button sewing hook, a button sewing foot, a zipper needle, a buttonhole foot. Mine comes with this tool here, and this is used to loosen up the screws that are on the sewing machine so you can change out the thread / lift up the plate on the sewing machine here. So you'll use that to do those pieces there. And my sewing machine is a quilting sewing machine, so it did come with these extra items here. I don't necessarily use those and don't necessarily know what everything is for, but I do know this is a walking foot, and this helps feed fabrics that are thicker through your sewing machine a lot easier. But this is pretty much everything that you should know about your sewing machine just starting out. Thank you guys for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it and found it helpful. And in my next video, I'm going to show you how to thread the sewing machine and how to thread your bobbin. And I hope to see you guys in the next one. Bye.